Hi, my name is Gudrun from GE Designs. Welcome to Facebook Friday. Hi everybody! Hi to all of you on Facebook and now also all of you on YouTube as well. We're testing this out to be live both on Facebook and YouTube, and hopefully it will go well. So that will be continuing going forward. So let's keep our fingers crossed. But happy Friday. I know it's hard to keep track of what day it is this time. And I get messed up almost every day. I can't figure out what day it is because they all meld together. But that's all good. It's Friday, so that means, of course, we have a refreshment with us. So today's cocktail is a grapefruit basil smash. Now, what is that? What's a smash? So a smash is like perfect for me. I love to make these in the summertime when you can get fresh fruit or berries. So you literally just, it's the easiest thing, but it sounds really fancy. So you just put some fruit or berries in your glass, and then usually add some kind of herb. You know, it can be mint, it could be basil, or anything you want, or not even, doesn't even have to be any kind of herb. You smash it, you would put then the alcohol in there, so which in this case is vodka, but you could use gin, you could use rum as well. You just smash it up. I put a little bit of sweetener in here because the grapefruit is so tart. And then you just smash it up and you get all that good stuff out of the fruit, all the oils and everything, and a little bit of basil in there, so that you smash that up with it too. And then you just pour some ice in and club soda or any kind of sparkling water, and that's it. So I'll post a recipe on Gudrun's Quilt Crew for this one. It's really refreshing. It just kind of tastes like summer, and I love grapefruit, and there's nothing like fresh grapefruit juice right from the fruit, and it's just really yummy. So cheers everybody. Really tastes like summer. I love including basil and herbs into cocktails too, because it gives another layer of flavor, not just sweet, not just fruity. It just kind of stays with you. So really good, and I love basil. We're not quite here yet in Minnesota to have fresh basil growing, but I'm sure many of you are planning like enormous gardening projects already all over, and some of you probably already started planting or maybe are even harvesting in other places of the country. And so of course every year I have all these big aspirations of growing things, and then it never really comes to fruition because I'm usually on the road all the time. So we don't really know what's going to happen this summer. So I already know that June has kind of gone kaput for all travel. We were supposed to go to Iceland in June, and because mainly my sister was getting married. So we're going to a wedding, and unfortunately she decided to postpone. Maybe not unfortunately, actually the smart thing to do. And so postponing until next year, which is great because we probably would not have been able to come. So that is good news, but it means that I'm at least staying here all of June and probably longer. We just don't know. So staying positive on that one. But of course we have a giveaway on our show, and last week we had a winner. So last week I tried to kind of ask you some fun questions. So I asked you, when was the last time you wore regular clothes? And I kind of let the cat out of the bag that, you know, regular clothes happen on the top, and then it's mostly just loungewear and leggings on the bottom. And but our winner from last week is Hema Kamath, or Kamath. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but I loved her story. So she said, I dressed up on Sunday for an online baby shower for my niece with attendees from many countries and continents. But for COVID, I don't think we'd have done anything like it. It was beautiful to see all the family from different parts of the world and do a typical Indian style baby shower. That was beautiful. What a great way. And I'm totally experiencing that too. I'm kind of connecting more with my people over in Iceland and friends. So it's a positive thing in all the hardness and negativity that we're experiencing everywhere else. So another great positivity for me, I just happened to be notified of yesterday, and that was I was named the most influential quilter Inspiring Quilters in Today's Crazy World by Quilting Daily, which is a publication online, and they publish a bunch of magazines as well. So that was a huge honor to be on that list, to be even on the list with Bonnie Hunter and Virginia Wolf and Kim and Carrie Bloomston, I think, was the 5th one. So that was really inspiring and humbling for me. So thank you so much. I am going to try my best to keep you inspired, keep you having fun and enjoying your time in your sewing rooms instead of worrying about what's going on in the world. So we're going to talk about that, but our next quilt along, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But first, we have lots of strip along quilts to show you. So I showed you a whole big slideshow last week from our strip along. This kind of took place during the month of April, and there's even more that have been posted. So I figured I would put together another slideshow of some more great strip to shores. Now, of course, if you know nothing about this and this is all new to you, we did a strip along which takes place once weekly. I do tips and demonstrations, and then people just sew on their own. I do this once a year in my group, and it's just been really fun. I take a pattern that's older and I stripologize it. So I teach you new ways of cutting things out and using the stripology rulers. And then, of course, I offered some new layouts options for this quilt. Everything is available, and links to everything you will find on my blog. But let's check out the second slideshow of Strip to Shore. Great work, everybody. Here's my salute to you. Thank you for all of those beautiful quilts. I know some are still working on it, and that's just fine. Everybody needs to just sew on their own time and at their own pace. So that's what's beautiful about quilting and quilt projects and fabric. Hey, they don't go bad. You can put them aside and bring them back. Like anything else, years later, they don't go bad. Sometimes they even kind of age well. Not all the time, but sometimes. But I want to say I am so excited for the next Quilt Along, Quarantine Quilt Along Day. If you are completely new here and haven't heard anything about it, maybe you heard about our Elvira Quilt Along that took place in March. Well, we're doing this again, so it would be a full day of sewing together, and I've designed a pattern called Hope specifically for this. So let's just put up that Quilt Along button to tell you. So this is going to take place Sunday, May 3rd, and I will be live hopefully both on Facebook and YouTube. Seems to be working well. The producer, Mr. Honey Producer, has been working on all the technology, and he's running around between two computers back there right now. Anyways, so I will be live 5 times throughout the day and giving you instruction on each step of the way. And the pattern is available on my website for a slight little donation. So this time, instead of providing you with the pattern for free over the weekend, you can get the first instruction now for a small donation. So you can either choose to pay $2, $5, or $10. All of the proceeds will go to charity, and I have picked 3 great charities that I'm supporting locally here, and you can read all about them under the link for the pattern. So I've included links in the description of the video, so straight to the pattern. And what you get after you purchase, so this is a digital purchase, so you don't get anything in the mail. You'll get an email with a link to download the files. And so what you will get right now is a 7-page document with the full fabric requirements, with the schedule for our day that will be live. And then of course the videos will be free and everything. And so there's a couple of different options for this quilt. So I wanted it to have some variety so people with different tastes can do different things, and then also try to be as accessible as possible. So you can use either fat quarters or half yards, or you can use a layer cake, 10-inch squares, pack of 10-inch squares, and a jelly roll, or 10-inch squares and some accent fabric. So I'm going to kind of go deeper into that a little bit with you here, because we just announced this last Tuesday and kind of been answering a lot of questions, and people are a little, unsure. So I'm going to go through it all again, and please post your comments and questions if you have any, and I'll try to get to all those questions live. So let's put up I've made a few quilt tops already. They're still just quilt tops. So the first Hope quilt top is the one that it's on the front page of the document. So let's put that one up. The Hope. So this one I cut my own 10-inch squares from one of my Stash Builder bundles, and this one is done with the Brightly Blooming bundle, but one of the half yards in the bundle was a yellow, so I decided to leave that one out, and I just found some extra pinks that I threw in there for 10-inch squares instead of the yellow. And then I found some more yellows to use that for my 2.5-inch strips. So to figure out how to get this kind of a look, if you want that accent strip that goes through the center of each of the blocks, that is going to be your 2.5-inch strips. So if you want it all the same, you can use it one fabric, and that will be shown on the on the first page of the fabric requirements. So it says you can either use assorted 2.5-inch strips, and it shows you exactly the number of full width strips that you need, or the accent fabric yardage. So for a lap size, you need a yard and 3/4, full size 3 yards, queen size 3 2/3. This is all listed on the document. So that's if you want that kind of look. I'm going to show you another one that actually does that, where I used a single fabric with assorted 10-inch squares. So let's put up, I think it's Yvonne's, the Pacific, I called it offset medallion. Yeah, that one. So this one is done with a Pacific Wanderings stash builder. So I just cut the 10-inch squares and then a black accent fabric. You can see how that's really, really sharp. So if you want that sharp contrast to calm down the scrappiness, I know some of you don't like it too scrappy, this is a way to do that. And that's a different layout. You can do any of the layouts using that contrast. So that's when you just do the accent fabric and 10-inch squares. Now, if you want it more mixed up and more, if you like more scrappy, then this version, which is the Light Years version, the Hope Light Years, I did this one just with a stash builder bundle. So I cut from the bundle, I cut my 10-inch squares and my 2.5-inch strips, and I kind of mixed them all up. So you can see the strip that runs through the center of the block is different color in all the blocks. So that kind of makes it more scrappy, makes it more fun. And so if you like that kind of a look, that is a way to do that. And I'll show you the original Hope, which is the original layout as well. That one I did the same thing. I just pulled 10-inch squares and 2.5-inch strips. Yes, they were all kind of in different blue tones. So that kind of gives you that really fun scrappy look. I kind of love the abstract look that this gives, and I think I'm going to play with that on Saturday, May 3rd myself. Of course, I'm going to make a quilt with you. And then so we have one more to show you. I have one more to show you, and that's actually Amy's version. That's the one that's hanging behind me. She just started it, and that's using a music bundle, so maybe we can just see it better hanging behind me here. So she used a music bundle where she cut all her 10-inch squares, which were all these kind of prints in black and white and gray, and then a really sharp accent, which is that turquoise. So I really love that look as well. It was Julie's. Did I say Amy? Oh, I'm sorry. That was Julie's quilt, and she got her done. Julie is a piano teacher as well, so I love that music bundle, how that played out. So let me check for some questions, and if you have any specific questions on, in particular the yardage, and how to achieve that look, if you have confusion about that, because there's 2 sheets of the fabric requirements. So this first one that has this version of the quilt on it will give you how many 10-inch squares, and also will give you how many 2.5-inch strips, and I'm talking about full width strips, and or the accent fabric if you want to have one singular fabric for that. Now, if you want to use fat quarters or half yards, the second sheet will tell you how many fat quarters you need, and that will, be enough for you to cut your 10-inch squares, your 2.5-inch strips, and there's even enough to cut your binding too. So that would be kind of pretty much all of what you need. So let's see if we have any questions on that. Everybody's excited to do it again. Yes, so layer cakes and jelly rolls. If you have a layer cake and a jelly roll, a layer cake is 42 squares usually. For the lap size, you will need 48. So maybe find a couple of fat quarters to cut 4 more squares or something like that. So that would work. Okay, so for somebody's using, yes, with a little extra, somebody using a layer cake with a little extra, you get 48. Okay, great. Looks like everybody's really good and have already picked their fabric.
2.5-inch strips, 10 inches long.
2.5-inch strips. In the yardage or fabric requirements, I just say strips, and that means they're full width of fabric. So if you have some scraps, if you have some that are half width, so then just cut that in half. But we need them pretty long, so we can't do tiny little scraps. Okay, so Elaine is asking, will the version that looks like Clarissa look okay in a lap size? Yeah, so the Hope Light Years version that I showed you, the Light Years fabric, that is the Clarissa layout, and that's a lap size. All right, question for Hope, says Amanda, for the accent strips for layout 5, crib size, the chunk of fabric I have is yardage and measures 14 by 68. Will that be enough for a crib of layout 5? I would have to do the math. So the 14 inches, you can't cut strip that way unless you want to piece them together. And that might be an option. You can just cut 14-inch long strips that are 2.5-inch wide and piece them together. but it's not going to be long enough for the piece we need. So 68-inch long, you would only get, I'm trying to do the math here on the fly. So that's 5 strips, 68, 4 times 5, that's 20. You might be a little short. Unfortunately. Yeah. You might want to figure out something else. Or if you have a similar fabric that's really similar, just mix it in with the other one. Like I did with a yellow. It's not all the same print. I think I used 5 or 6 different prints. Okay.
Will light years fabric be online today?
Yes, so we'll talk about that a little bit later. All the new bundles, I'm going to put them online right after the show. I decided to wait until after the show because I didn't want to stress people out during the show, okay? So as soon as we're offline, I'll go and put them all up, but I'll talk about that later. Okay, Sarah says, do we need to turn the fat quarter into 2 10-inch squares first and we cut from 10-inch square, or does it matter? So here's the deal. I am going to, this coming Tipsy Tuesday, I'm going to give you all the cutting instructions. So if you want to work from fat quarters or half yards, I'm going to show you exactly how to be perfectly prepared. And also if you're working with layer cakes and 2.5-inch strips, I'm going to show you how to prep those, how to subcut those, and do some kind of final preparations for Saturday. So stay tuned for Tuesday, okay? Good? All right, so Julie's top looks awesome, says Sean. Yes. Oh, it matched my outfit. That's true. I have a silver shirt. That's good. I did good today. Matching, huh? I didn't even think of that. April's asking, will there be more of light years? Yes. So we have it actually. I'm hoping there was just a delivery truck coming. So I hope it's on my doorstep right now. If not, it's coming tomorrow. So we're going to get it cut and we'll be able to ship it on Monday. Okay.
Any problems with directional fabric?
Directional fabric. That was a great question. So a lot of my light years fabric was directional. So with directional fabrics, they're going to get turned any which way in the blocks. So I am not bothered by things turning different ways, especially when you take a fabric that is turned all the different ways inside the quilt. Then it kind of automatically becomes a non-directional fabric. Because the pieces aren't that big, it's not like Elvira where we had a really big rectangle and so it was really visual if the fabric wasn't directional. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. If you really want everything to be straight, I would probably limit my directional fabrics, but if there's just 1 or 2, I wouldn't really worry about it because we're going to turn it each way and then we turn the blocks certain ways, so you might just always be able to make that one fabric be the right side up. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Music bundle, somebody asked about a music bundle. We cut it all up that we had in-house and I added them all online yesterday. So I'm not sure if they're sold out already. But
question on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to have a special ruler?
Oh, question from YouTube. Do we have to have a special ruler? No, don't have to. If you have any of the bigger stripology rulers, the original, the XL, or the squared, they're going to be great to use. We're going to be squaring up our blocks in the end. So the squared ruler or the XL will have the markings for it, but the original actually has, we can create our markings for it on the original. So I'm going to show you how to do that using arrows. So if you have any of those, that's fabulous. If you have just a big square ruler and none of the stripology, that'll work too. So not needed, but it's helpful. Okay.
What fabric did you use for Hope?
What fabrics did I use for Hope? That depends on what version. The blue. This one. This was from my, just from my collection. So all kinds of stuff that is in my stash. So I just pulled all kinds of blues and things. A lot of it, it's a mix. It's a mix. I can't even say that there's more from one line or another. I just pulled all kinds of blues and lights and stuff. I usually do that when I make my first prototype of a new pattern. And at first I wasn't liking it, and then it lived on my design wall for a while, and now this is probably one of my favorite versions. So I really want to make a bigger one. So that was fun. Okay. Oh, Krista says I got lucky. My layer cake has 48 squares. That's great. Okay.
Do we need layer cakes or 10.5 inch squares?
10-inch squares. So somebody asked, do we need layer cakes or 10.5-inch squares? You need 10-inch squares. So layer cakes work. And if they, sometimes those layer cakes, if you're using precuts, now of course you're not going to worry about that if you cut your own, especially with the Stripology rulers, because they're pretty accurate. If you have precuts from different companies, sometimes they're not exact, so they're not exactly 10 inches. But this pattern, for a reason, I designed it to be very forgiving. So if your 10-inch squares aren't quite, reaching 10 inches, it's okay. We have a little wiggle room, so don't worry about it. Okay. Let me see. Lori says, I ordered Desert Song Stash Builder Bundle. What green in your 1 yard inventory would be a good accent, thinking something chartreuse? Desert Song, I have to think about all the different in my head. Desert Song, yeah, that has a lot of kind of a turquoise, a little bit of green, and navy, I think. So it depends if you're thinking a chartreuse. There's a thatched, I remember a thatched, I think it's thatched chartreuse or a thatched lime, or there's a couple of ones in there. A spotted one, we have a green one that's really would be good if you're thinking a lime green. There's also one from Dear Stella that's that scallop dot, I think it's called, and that one has kind of like a pine green, which is really pretty. That might be a good option too, but it might be a little too dark for the navies in there. Hard to think of it, envisioning in my head because I don't have it in front of me. But okay, you can always email me and I can give you some suggestions. All right, any other questions? Do you see any more questions, Mr. Producer?
Do you need separate accent fabric, or is there enough fabric in the bundle to pick an accent color?
So you don't need accent fabric if you're going to be using fat quarters or half yard cuts or the bundles. You will be able to get all that from the bundle, but that way you of course will not have this sharp accent because all your this middle strip is going to be from the same fabrics as are in the square. So it's going to be more scrappy. It's going to be not as distinct. So it just depends on what kind of look you're going for. So if you want to do an accent fabric, and don't worry if if you just want to cut the squares and then get an accent fabric from the bundles, you'll have an 8-inch leftover. You can cut 2.5-inch strips and use it for all kinds of patterns, and you can cut your binding from it if you want a scrappy binding. So there's lots of ways to use it. We don't call it waste. That's just enough to move on to the next project. Debbie says, did you happen to get the tulips in? It's the same deal. They will all go into the store. Inventory will go into the store right after the show. So, yeah, get set, ready, set, go when the show is over.
What are your thoughts on plaid for an accent fabric?
Plaid for an accent fabric? I think it's great. It's going to have a really nice kind of movement throughout it. I don't know if you're picky on cutting your plaid straight, so that might be a thing if you are picky about that. I love adding plaids and stripes into my quilts because it just gives such an interest, kind of a directional interest. So I'd go for it. Go for it. Okay, so let me see any other questions. Lori says, did you make up any kits for the low tide table runner from the Fast and Furious Club? Yes, I did, but we released it when the third trimester launched, and so we sold out of both colorways. We did 2 colorways of it, and we are all out of the fabric, unfortunately. So I haven't had any time since. I did mention when the low tide went live that we may make up some more kits, but with launching of the whole project, we have been swamped, and thank you for that, which is a beautiful thing, but it's kind of tough to get fabric these days. And so, some fabric companies have very limited staff and are in areas that's hard to ship out of. So it's hard to get fabric, but who knows, maybe further down the line when things open up more, we can maybe make some more kits. Okay. Bonnie says, have you ever named a quilt after yourself? I have not, no. I have not done that. I don't know if I will. They're all my little babies, but maybe. Okay, do you see any other questions from YouTube? All right, so Gwen says, my order from you on Tipsy Tuesday arrived today already. I was happy with it. Oh, she's international. Cost a lot for customs. That's great.
Just about donations. How many have you had?
Oh, so I wanted to give you an update on how many donations we have. We have over 3,000 donations. I don't have the amount yet, but we're going to be able to help so many people. I'm so excited, and hopefully we're just getting started. So please keep sharing. If you want to share the button that I put up, we have it on the Gudrun's, not on Gudrun's Quilt Crew because we can't share out of the Facebook group. But if you go to my business page, you can share straight from there. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, you can also just go to my website and to my blog and copy that little or share that whole blog post. That'd be great. I appreciate it. We want to spread the word, and we want to see if we can have more people sewing with us this next Saturday. Okay, so Susan is asking, sorry I joined late. How much yardage do you need? I have a jelly roll, but wanted to use an accent color for the layout. So I hope you have some 10-inch squares too, because just a jelly roll is not going to be enough. So when you purchase the pattern or make your donation, you will be able to download the whole supply list. It all depends on the size of your quilt, so that'll be all there. And also it has some of the layouts and different options. So if you want to play with and decide right now what you want to do, you can play with the coloring pages. That's really fun. And somebody actually, I don't remember the name, but really good post in the crew that I saw that somebody played with using 2 different accent fabrics. If you don't have enough of one, add another one. And it's fun to do totally different colors because you can totally plan where you place that. And which would be really fun to do and see. Okay, so how can I post a fabric selection for advice on what to use for accent fabric? Take a photo and post it in the crew because we have so many people. We love helping out in that way. So post a picture in the crew and ask for ideas. That's the best one. Cheryl is asking, does Mr. Honey have a YouTube channel? Yes, he does. It's Kosh Productions.
Kosh Productions Ltd.
Kosh Productions Ltd. So KAJ Productions. So Kathy's asking, so will YouTube be there quicker than before? No 30-minute delay like when we did this in March. Yes, so we're hoping to be live on both sides, which would be great. So that'll be awesome. And it seems like it's working well. We're kind of testing it out and see what it does to our computer and our bandwidth, and it looks like it's just fine. So that's great. Okay, Sheila's asking, will there be written conversion instructions for strip to shore regarding the old pattern which uses regular rulers to our now using the Stripology Original and XL? So no plans for that right now because all of those files and all those sheets are still available for free. So I don't have plans for that right now because I am already working on new patterns. So there's no time to be writing up older patterns. But like I said, all the additional files are available. The videos will be available forever. So people can access that without having it in the pattern. Okay. So Lynn says, I'm using a Moda's Merriment layer cake and would like a recommendation on using the red for the accent fabric. That's great. And I don't know how many reds are in the Merriment. So the only thing that I always try to do if I want an accent fabric to really stand out from and really kind of be sharp, make sure to compare it to all the other fabrics that you're going to use for the squares and make sure it stands out from all of them. So maybe possibly if there's maybe 1 or 2 fabrics in the layer cake or in your 10-inch squares that you don't see enough contrast between the accent fabric and the layer cake, maybe you can just throw those squares out of the layer cake and pull in something else that's similar, because when we're working so scrappy, it doesn't matter if you pull something from your stash that's just similar in colorways. Nobody's ever going to notice that it wasn't out of that fabric line. I do this all the time. All the time. There's rarely where I use just one fabric line. Okay. Let's see if we have any more questions. Okay, so Denise says, I bought the pattern, was going to buy some more fabric, wasn't much left. Yeah, sorry, we got really cleaned out. But like I said, we have more here and more coming tomorrow. So Sunday, everybody will be working on packing it up. And so we'll be ready to ship some more on Monday. So just check the store now. Right after the show, I'll be putting the inventory back in. I'll give you some more details on that. Okay, so is there a quilt pattern? Oh, Sally says I need to name one pattern after honey. Well, I try to use female names, so I don't know what that would be. I'll have to think about that one. He is actually really good he names a lot of them. He has ownership to a lot of my names. Maybe we should just name it Honey. That's an idea. All right. Okay, that's funny. So let's see. Will you ship an XL stripology to Canada? Yeah, we ship everywhere. And we, with the recent addition to DHL for our shop, we have been getting really great service through DHL for international shipping. And usually the price that pops up it depends on the country. So sometimes they are lower than the mail, and they deliver in 2 to 3 days, which is amazing. And they will contact you for all the customs stuff. And yeah, so that's been a great option. Great response for donations. Yes. Martha says, is there an option for comments on YouTube? So yes, we're getting comments on YouTube, but because we are live in the crew, we can't pull any comments up on the screen, but we can see them all. So we're just kind of scrolling through them. Leah says, is it Sunday? Yes. So we're going to be, the Quarantine Quilt Along is Sunday, May 3rd. Just on a Sunday like last time. Okay. Huh? Is there any more questions from YouTube? No. Okay, so I'm scrolling. Your comments are coming in way fast.
A lot of call it Honey. Honey is a female name.
Yes. Yeah, name it Honey. Okay, Betsy asks, how do you store your stripology rulers? We recommend to store them flat or hanging. Some people, if you can leave them upright between something, like slide them in between, behind a door or behind something that's not going to get knocked around, that's a good idea too. I have mine on my cutting table all the time because I use it all the time, so it just lays flat on my cutting table. And all of them have a hang hole, so that's also ideal to hang them. But I would recommend that versus trying to lean them up against something. If you have something else leaning up against it, I just wouldn't take chances with that. So that's the ideal way. Love your teaching style, says Wilma. The coloring pages are so appreciated. Thanks for all you do. Oh, I thank you for that. I appreciate hearing that. I love making people happy. So I'm gonna keep you guys sewing. All right. So what size, Eileen is asking, what size will the finished square be when we need to square it up? I want to purchase the right ruler size. So 10 inches or larger will work for a big square. I think I wrote that in the suggested tools. I believe so. Yes. So I wrote it in the suggested tools where I talk about the stripology rulers, but I said a square ruler at least 10 inches would be helpful. Okay.
How many accent pieces will I get
from a 2.5 inch strip? You will get 2, but I will talk about all the cutting on Tuesday. So Get your quilt, get your fabric ironed. If you want to, put a little best press on it if that's what you prefer, or a little starch. Get all that done, and then we'll talk about the cutting. No need to do that, but if you're used to doing that, I want you to just do what you are used to doing. All right, did we need to talk about anything more on the hope? But just please spread the word. We're going to try and get more donations and help more people, and of course have more fun in our sewing rooms next Saturday, May 3rd. No, Sunday, May 3rd. And so try and break that record from our first one of 16,000. But let me show you some of the fabrics that we actually have gotten in. This just got through the door. Some layer cakes of a brand new line. This is Geometry by Moda. So this is by Janet Claire. I always love her stuff. And so these are really nice blues, kind of dusty blues, light blues, darker blues, navies, and then just a pop of green. So this is another example where it would be kind of cool to pull out that green and use green as an accent for this, and kind of leave it out of the quilt, but get a green that would be the accent strip. So we got both the layer cakes and the charm packs. So this would be a really cute little Kim, I thought too. Really cool, very geometric, very manly kind of prints. So that's really brand new. And then we have the two new bundles that we cut. Of course, I talked about this one, the Shark Tails. This is so much fun. So I of course have been collecting these shark prints because my daughter is obsessed with sharks. So I've been collecting these really fun ones. This one is just sharks circling in the water, and this one was really fun too. I just love that they're smiling, kind of. We got more of the circling sharks in the 3 colorways. And then I pulled in some just accents. So we have the water, we have some ocean life here, all kinds, and some boats. And so they're all these kind of blues and lights with just a sparkle of red. So a really great accent color for this would of course be red, or pink, or anything that would really kind of stand out from this, or even taking some of the turquoise out would be cool if you want to keep it like more of that cool color kind of group. But this is Shark Tails, and this is already in the shop and already cut and ready to go out the door. The other one that also came in new, we used to have a hummingbird bundle, and so I did get some more hummingbird fabrics in, so I was able to kind of pull some coordinates to go with it. Not the same hummingbird fabrics as the previous hummingbird pattern was. This is still really beautiful. And so I pulled some coordinates to go with these, and I think it's really pretty if you like hummingbirds. So really bright colors and great, kind of great basics. So we got some turquoise and purples into the pinks, kind of just pulling out the colors that are in the prints. And I just love these. And then we have the other colorway of the hummingbird print. Isn't that pretty? It's really pretty. And so then I just pulled some fun fabrics. We have some bees, and there's some hummingbirds in this one too. And then some beautiful greens to finish it off. So very colorful. This one, if you wanted to do, this will be just so pretty all on its own and mixed up. But if you wanted to pull something out to do an accent, I think a really dark charcoal, because these tails of these birds here have black in it. So either black,